Taking the roof off a car is a technical challenge. Convertibles are less structurally stable than a closed vehicle. They're generally louder, heavier, more expensive, and less fuel efficient. And after all that, there's the weather. We found 3 contenders looking to buck the trend. Our test driver Martin Puthz says BMW and Peugeot are old hands at open-air motoring. Now, after 9 years of being idle in this sector, the Golf Cabrio is back. It's more mature, serious, and more expensive, starting at €23,625. And that's just the beginning. With a few extras and a more powerful engine, the price rapidly approaches $30,000, and that puts the Golf in the same league as BMW and Peugeot. The Peugeot 308cc is our only convertible with a hardtop. That makes it drivable in the winter months and more secure against break-ins. But the retracted roof needs extra space, and that means design concessions. Our first test is opening and closing the roof. The Volkswagen wins hands down. The Peugeot is the slowest when stationary. And moving, it's restricted to a maximum 12 kilometers an hour. By contrast, the BMW can close the roof at 40 kilometers an hour. The Peugeot comes with a 1.6-liter turbo engine delivering 115 kilowatts. That takes it from 0 to 100 in 9.6 seconds, with a maximum 215 kilometers an hour. Test driver Martin Puthz says the Peugeot has 3 major strengths. It's comfortable, as expected from a French-made car. It's solid, the chassis doesn't shake or groan when traveling over rough roads. And it has a fantastic engine. The 1.6-liter turbo purrs, even at high revolutions. It's powerful and very quiet. The engine was developed with BMW, but ironically, BMW itself doesn't have it. The Peugeot 308cc also excels in our wind test. Our measurements in the front and back show little turbulence. At a speed of 50 kilometers an hour, Martin Puthz is registering winds of only 3.7 in the cockpit. With a side wind, it goes up to 5.8. That's so minimal, it almost runs counter to the convertible experience. The front seats are positioned close under the windshield, which doesn't fit the character of an open vehicle. It's another story at the back with winds of 15.4 kilometers an hour.
Das sieht doch schon deutlich luftiger aus, 15,4 km/h.
The 308cc has an elegant interior, but the wide instruments can be difficult to read, and the headrests are too short for tall drivers. The Peugeot is the largest of our test vehicles, but the angled roof makes for cramped seating in the back. Prices start at €28,950, which includes air conditioning, a sound system, cruise control, and parking assistance. But even with all that, it has the worst resale value. The BMW 1 Series has a soft top and cuts a dashing figure. From the side, its lines are clean and well proportioned, a clear member of the premium class. Under the hood, the 1 Series packs a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, which delivers 105 kilowatts. That gives the BMW a top speed of 210 kilometers an hour and takes from 0 to 100 in 9.3 seconds. Martin Puthz explains that the BMW 1 Series is the only vehicle with a rear-wheel drive in our test. The engine only has a 143 horsepower suction motor, without the turbo of the other 2 cars. The Peugeot's 1.6-liter turbo, developed with BMW, won't feature in the 1 Series until the next generation. That limits the driving enjoyment. Otherwise, Martin Puthz likes the steering, which is direct and precise. The transmission is crisp, as expected in a BMW, and there's a big convertible experience with plenty of wind in the cockpit. Our tests show the BMW with slightly more cockpit wind than the Peugeot. At 50 kilometers an hour, Martin Puthz is seeing winds of 9 kilometers an hour. That gives passengers the Cabrio feeling, but not too much. In the back, the wind is 19.4 kilometers an hour.
19,4, naja, ist ja schon etwas mehr.
The BMW's cockpit puts driving first, with a comfortable steering wheel and ergonomic controls. But if you want air conditioning, that's €980 extra. Space is at a premium, but there's still more headroom than the 308cc. The 1 Series was our most expensive test car, costing €30,500. But that did include power steering and 17-inch wheels. And the BMW's resale value puts it ahead of the Peugeot. The Golf is the wild card in this comparison. Volkswagen's latest offering is taking a run at the class barrier, hoping to join Peugeot and BMW on the other side. Volkswagen has opted for a soft top, which is a big plus for its overall design. And unlike its competitors, the Golf has a separate 250-liter trunk, whether the roof is closed or not. The only downside is the tiny hatch. Up front, the Golf is packing a 1.4-liter four-cylinder forced induction engine. Its 118 kilowatts produces top speeds of 216 kilometers an hour, and it goes from standing to 100 in 8.4 seconds. Martin Puthz says the Golf Cabriolet drives like a Golf, and he means that as a compliment. The good handling and motor response makes for a comfortable ride. The car's soundproofing is also excellent, though not as good as the closed models. But even with the roof down, the Golf is very quiet for a convertible. But the wind test produces mixed results. The wind is strongest in the Golf cockpit. But isn't that what open-air driving is all about? Martin Puthz says the wind feels quite strong, blowing at 7 kilometers an hour, but he likes it. After all, it's convertible and not a closed car. Now the wind speed is 12.1 kilometers an hour, making it the windiest of the 3 test cars. In the back seats, it even hits 24 kilometers an hour. But for Martin Puthz, that's a real convertible. Inside, the Golf is surprisingly spacious compared to the BMW and Peugeot. The legroom is almost as ample as the closed-top version. The prices start at €23,625, but our test car included a dual-clutch transmission and 17-inch wheels. That bumps the Golf up to €28,770, putting it almost on a par with the competition. It's not a cheap option, but there's little to dislike about the Volkswagen. We think it's the best package overall. The Peugeot 308cc had a great turbo engine, loads of features, and a hardtop. Even so, Martin Puthz still ranks it 3rd in our test because of its poor resale value. After a few years, it's not going to fetch nearly as much as the 1 Series. The BMW is the sporty alternative. The engine isn't the most powerful, but it's certainly the most dynamic. The Golf is our test winner. It's the perfect all-rounder without any major weaknesses. Feature-wise, it matches the closed cockpit version with the advantages of a retracting roof.
Nur eben mit der Option des Offenfahrens. So wünscht man sich einen Begleiter für jeden Tag und für den Sommer.
The Golf is a persuasive multi-talent, something the competition is sure to take notice of.